Yeah, here we go, y'all. Here we go. Another episode of Diverse Talking Heads podcast. I'm your host, Calvin Gibbs, and it's always a pleasure, a privilege, and an honor to have you check out our podcast. Hey, tonight, I've said this in the past that we've had a special show for you, but tonight we have a very, very special show for you because guess what? I'm the only man here. This is a show dedicated to celebrate Women's History Month. And I have 6 panelists here with me that are all women. So before we begin, I'm going to ask them one by one to just identify themselves and we'll get started. Amy, you're first.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Amy. So excited to be here.
Thank you, Amy.
Hi, it's Heather.
Hi, it's Karen. Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Hi, this is Michelle.
Hey, Michelle, welcome.
Hi, this is Morgan. Happy to be here.
Thank you. And we have one more person whose last name happens to be the same as mine that I couldn't hear. So I'm going to ask her to unmute yourself and try it again.
Everyone said they heard me. This is Ansonia.
Oh, well, I guess I'm the only one that didn't hear you. Imagine that.
Selective hearing, I take it, sir.
Imagine that. Imagine that.
We're starting, huh?
So we're starting. But this show is all about you all. And I'm going to ask some questions of you. I know that this is the 23rd day of the month. So Women's History Month there's only a week left in it. It really went by fast. And I know there's been a lot of celebrations of the historical things that women have done. And I want to kind of get away from some of that because we've heard it all through the month. And I want to ask you some specific questions about yourselves. So let's start with this. Who inspires you? Who inspires you? Which woman inspires you? And I'm going to ask Heather, if we can start with you.
All right. So what female inspires me? I've always had a trouble with identifying inspirations in people because people are inherently fallible, right? But I will say that there is one person as my great-grandmother, and I hold on to her as a source of inspiration because of her complete and utter kindness, her ability to know she had 7 children and 50 plus grandchildren and just hundreds of people in her life. But when she spoke to you, you were the only person that mattered. And that feeling is just such an amazing thing. And so for her, she touched me really deeply in that way. And she was also just a really, really cool lady with a lot of life lived. So that's who I would say.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And Michelle, I have a question for you. I know that you have a book on leadership that you contributed to, but what factors impact a woman's ability to lead?
Sure, Kevin. I do think that women have a lot of advantages when it comes to leadership because of the ability to emotionally relate to people. There's that nurturing, caring side of a woman that, comes naturally to care for others and excel in customer service. So when it comes to leadership, I think, it's not just talk, but knowing where to position themselves, put themselves in the shoes of the person and lead in a way that comes with empathy and understanding. So I think that makes it really great quality for women to take leadership.
Okay, thank you for that. Reverend Morgan, I know that you are a leader, and I want to ask you if you can briefly describe your leadership style, and is it different from your male counterparts?
That's a good question. I would like to hope, I strive at least to be an empowering leader. There was a season in my life when I was, and I think many women can relate to this, where you try to do everything. And it just doesn't work out that way. It starts out, it's a good idea at the time, But then there's only so many hours in a day, and there's only so much that you can do. The capacity limitations are there. And so I like to try to be a leader that empowers other people to be able to see the light bulb click in their head. I'm a process person. So for me, I have to understand the process, and that helps me to see the bigger picture to then best know how to proceed. And so when I'm only given little bits of information, it's a little frustrating for me. But if I'm given a whole vision or outlook of the high perch sitting thing, then I can kind of see a little bit better, and then seek to empower other people to thrive within their own genius. Because I think we all have things to contribute. But I think that's what I strive to do.
Okay, great answer. Thank you for that. And Karen, I know that right now there's confirmation hearings going on for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Yeah.
And I know that as far as the questioning that's happening right now, it's some crazy things going on. I mean, I understand that the Democrats are going to, go one way and the Republicans will go another, but it seems like people are really going off the deep edge. Why has it taken so long for a Black woman to even get the nomination for the Supreme Court? That's your question. And Sonia, right behind, I'm going to ask you, why are they acting this vicious towards her? So Karen, why did it take this long?
I really don't know why it took this long, Calvin, because there are so many qualified candidates out there who have served their time, starting as attorneys, then as judges, following the laws implemented by the states and Congress. And she's done a lot of things, but we don't know why. I don't know. I don't want to say racism. I don't want to say culture. I don't know what to say as to why we've never looked at anyone else. But excuse me, I take that back. We have looked at other people, but they did not meet the criteria. And this is a young woman who has been in the trenches from the beginning up to now, and she's fought her way and earned the respect by all her peers across different legal cases, judges. And people admire her. Everyone's saying great things about her style, the way she handles her cases. So I think that she would make a great Supreme Court justice because she's going in unbiased.
Okay.
And she is eager to learn to apply the law correctly according to the U.S. Constitution. And I admire her for that, because that's the one thing she said over and over and over and over and over again throughout her testimony.
And over again. So, and Sonia, there's one senator in particular that I know a couple months ago was very much on her side for her to be nominated. And now he's like a pit bull. Why is it so? Why are they attacking Judge Barrett in the previous administration? I watched the confirmation hearings with her, and the Democrats wasn't quite as vicious as what's going on right now. What's going on in your mind?
I'll use it in one word: sexism. They're using and trying to see if they can push her buttons. Any woman who has sat in a position of being interviewed for a high position, they are going to find or try to find, you still got the red light on, try to find the pushing point or the pressure point of that woman to see how she undertakes pressure and how she responds. Now, what's really burning them up is the fact that she still has a smile on her face as she's listening to this. And I hate to say that they're trying to get to that angry Black woman. Every woman does not get to that point. Everyone has a pressure point, and you may not be pushing it enough. And in sitting in the seat of when I worked in IT in school districts, I was the only African American in the room in most cases, and definitely the only Black woman. So there was pressure to try and see where my weaknesses were. And that's what they're trying to do to her. They're trying to find where her weakness is, what is going to be her pressure point, because of course we know that topics that come across the Supreme Court are very heated topics. And they need to have someone, hopefully this is doing all good for her. They need to have someone with the level head. And I think she's displaying that perfectly.
Okay, great answer. From a man's point of view, if she was to display that angry Black woman one time, I think the confirmation would be over and she'll be in it tomorrow. But that's just my opinion. Amy, in your job, what benefits have you received from being in leadership?
That's a really good question. So speaking as a woman, what benefits have I received in my job? You know, I think Michelle actually gave a really good answer there. I am, funnily enough, I'm a customer success leader, which is sort of related to customer service. We work directly with the end users of our technology. I think that I was, when I first moved into a leadership position, there was a male supervisor, then there was myself, and then a woman counterpart, and we were kind of the same level of leadership. And I know that he looked to us to kind of be the moms, quote unquote, or sort of the caregivers to the rest of the team, whereas he would be the one that would think about the logical process and kind of make the decisions, and then we were supposed to convince everyone else to carry them out. That happens to be my comfort zone. I like kind of convincing people, and I like trying to figure out different levers that I can pull based on somebody's personality. So that actually worked very well for me. For my female counterpart, though, she was very, very process oriented and wanted to do more of what our male supervisor was doing. So I think in that way, I just kind of got lucky that I fit some of the stereotypical expectations that I don't even know that he could have voiced that he had. Whereas if I hadn't, that would have worked against me. So I think it, unfortunately, people do come in with some kind of unspoken preconceived notions, and you may or may not benefit from those. But sort of to the conversation that we were just having, not that I'm putting myself in the shoes of a Black female judge in any way, but if you have to push against those strong preconceived notions, it can be very difficult to undo them no matter who you are, because the other person might just be blind to the fact that what they're thinking isn't just, you know, logic or the way of the world. It's actually a notion that might not even hold true. So it's kind of a long answer. I appreciate the luck that I've had, but I know that it's, in my case, it might have been a bit unusual.
Okay. Now, when we talk about benefits, there's always consequences that go along with that, right? There's benefits and there's consequences. So Heather, in the case that, as Amy said, she was hired because the expectations was that she would be nurturing and, you know, the mother figure. Is that a negative consequence, or is that okay?
Oh, you picked the right one here.
Go